Good evening. Welcome to Midco Sports Tonight. Kelly Stewart joined alongside by Tom Nieman. And right off the bat, no pun intended, but we are talking Summit League baseball as the conference portion of the season is well underway. First of all, Tom, how's it going?
Fabulous. I'm not ready for baseball, but these guys are playing. You go south as far as you can for like the first 20 games of the year, and then you get back up and start Summit League play. So. All
right. Well, looking at the league, you don't have to do too much research to find out that Oral Roberts is the team to beat. They are phenomenal. Of course, they are a Southern team, so maybe they get to play outside a little bit more. But what can you tell us about the Eagles?
Absolutely. That does help them a ton. And Oral Roberts is just disgustingly good. They have literally won the league and won the league tournament every year since 1999. And you remember Oral Roberts left the league for 2 years. South Dakota State and North Dakota State won the league tournament those 2 years. But ORU came back in 2015. They've continued their dominance in the last 3 years. Oral Roberts had 11 Major League draft picks in the last 3 years. They had 4 of them just off of last year's team. One of them is a pitcher named Josh McMinn, who was drafted by the Minnesota Twins, but he is back at Oral Roberts this season. Decided not to go the minor league route yet. They have McMinn. They have 2 other guys who were first, second, and third in the Summit League last year in wins and in ERA. So they are loaded at pitcher. They have their closer back who led the league in saves last year. And they did lose a few bats, but Oral Roberts is already leading the league in hitting, so they are loaded up again. They beat top 25 Wichita State a couple of weeks ago. They split with Nebraska this past weekend, and they are off and running in Summit League play, and they are just so good. And the South, playing South does help them a little bit, but they've got the program there, and they've just they're kept it going. Yeah,
they've been good for quite a while. Well, moving north, very north actually, to Fargo, NDSU is off to an 8-11 start. So here's head coach Todd Brown talking about how his team comes into the season.
One thing that I really appreciate about our guys, I thought they did a great job over Christmas break coming back in really good shape, arm-wise, running-wise, and kept up with their lifting program. And that allowed us to take bigger steps forward. Anytime that you can have your guys in full shape, especially arm-wise, it's very important to get our pitchers off the mound so many times per week and build up their arm strength. And I thought our guys did an unbelievable job over Christmas break of staying in shape and following our workouts. That way we can move forward as a team.
All right, so the Bison, Tom, what do they bring to the table this year?
Well, North Dakota State was the runner-up to Oral Roberts last year in the regular season and in the Summit League tournament, and should be a contender again this year to push ORU. But NDSU lost a really good hitter in Ben Peterson. They lost a really good pitcher in Luke Lind, who is in the minors right now with the Angels organization. But NDSU does have a couple of good pitchers back, Jordan Harms and Chris Choles. They have 3 solid seniors who will lead them at the plate this year: Mason Perchalski, Drew Fearing, and Logan Bush. This was a game against Minnesota, I believe, at Minnesota. Minnesota won this game 3-1. But North Dakota State has only scored 5 runs in their 3 games in their Summit League opening series against Western Illinois last week. So it's only 3 games into a 30-game season in Summit League play, but they're going to have to pick it up offensively. And North Dakota State, we'll see. Last year it was Oral Roberts, NDSU, and SDSU in the top 3.
All right, so let's talk about the Jacks. We have to. They were challenged early on in the conference schedule by guess who? Oral Roberts. So here's head coach Rob Bishop on their series against the Golden Eagles.
You know, we did our job offensively. We came out, scored a bunch of runs against a couple of really good arms, got their starters out early on Friday and Saturday, actually, the first game on Saturday, and, you know, showed, I think, what we're capable of offensively, and, you know, really still we just didn't pitch well those first 2 games or pitch consistently. We showed flashes, but you know, walked a lot of guys, and they're a team that's offensive enough. They're going to get their hits. So if you either walk or make errors or give them freebies, usually a tough outcome with them.
So a tough way to start out against
the
Golden Eagles.
They'll get them again later in the season, but yeah, it's probably good to get that series out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. But what kind of shape, I mean, outside of that, is Jackrabbit baseball in this year?
Well, as Coach said, it usually comes down to pitching. The Jacks scored 24 runs in that series against Oral Roberts, but they gave up 34 runs in the 3 games. And SDSU has been a very good offensive team in the last few years, but if they are going to compete this year, it's going to be the pitching that keeps them in games. They still have a ton of young, promising pitchers. Derek Feige from Sioux Falls is their 6'1" senior pitcher. But then they've got Tyler Olmstead from Sioux Falls, Brett Mogan from Del Rapids, Quinn Reimers from Pierre are all just sophomores this year who are going to be asked to do a lot on the mound for the Jackrabbits this season. But Tony Colsing at the plate is off to a great start for South Dakota State, and they can always hit the ball, but it comes down to pitching, and South Dakota State's really young on the mound again this year.
Yeah, that is important. Well, while we're talking baseball, Tom, let's chat about some of the area players and where they are at right now, because we have some talent here in South Dakota, so fill us in.
We've got several guys playing in the majors and in the minors. You start with Dusty Coleman from Sioux Falls, is probably the most well-known kid from Sioux Falls, O'Gorman. He is still with the San Diego Padres, but on their AAA roster right now. Coleman was designated for assignment. You hear that at the end of last season. They basically cut him loose as the Padres brought up a younger third baseman instead of Coleman. But Coleman went through waivers. Nobody picked him up, so he's back with San Diego. He's with the El Paso Chihuahuas right now. That's their AAA team. And they start their season in a couple of weeks on April 5th. But Coleman played 27 games last year with the Padres, so still a chance that he could be back at some point with them coming up this year.
All right, what about Thompson?
Lane Thompson is a kid from Yankton, South Dakota, right-handed pitcher, played at Yankton High School, played at South Dakota State. This will be his 6th year now out of college, and Thompson has played 2 major league games with Cincinnati back in 2016. He gave up 6 hits in 2 1/3 innings. It was kind of a rough major league debut for him, but Thompson is now with the Dodgers organization.
Oh, wow.
He is with their AA team in Tulsa to start the season.
And then a Brandon Valley High School grad, Jake Adams. What about him? Big guy.
He is a monster. Played at Brandon Valley in high school. Big guy, 6'2", 250 pounds. Went to North Dakota, and then when they got rid of their baseball program there, he ended up at Iowa and had a great senior season. 29 home runs. He was the Big Ten Player of the Year last year. Adams was drafted by the Houston Astros, played for their Class A team in Troy, New York. Late last summer, he hit 10 homers in 48 games there. Adams is down in Florida working out right now to see where the Astros are going to send him. They have a Class A team in Iowa at the Quad Cities. They have one in North Carolina, and it sounds like he could end up on one of those rosters in the next few weeks to get the minor league season started.
All right, and then,
but hopefully he's got a great career ahead of him, so we'll see with Adams.
He was impressive. All right, and then a West Fargo product, Matt Strom.
He's a left-handed pitcher from West Fargo, played 2 years at a community college down in Kansas, and he was going to play at Nebraska, but he was drafted by the Royals in 2012. Strom sat out 2013 after elbow surgery, but stayed in the Kansas City system. He's been with the Royals, the big league team, in the last 2 years, pitched in 24 games for Kansas City last season, but he had a knee injury at the end of last year. Kansas City cut him loose, and he is now with San Diego, the Padres. He's on their 40-man roster right now, and it sounds like Strom might be in the mix to be on the opening day roster for the Padres when they start the regular season, which gets started next week.
All right, great stuff. Tom, you hit a home run.
Thanks, Stewie.
Oh my gosh, that was so cheesy. Anyways, when we come back, high school baseball is up and running here in South Dakota. We'll talk about some of the local teams and their early season plans when Midco Sports Tonight returns.
Midco Sports Tonight, presented by Avera Orthopedics.